Hey everyone, today we're doing a dice review. Now I haven't done a review in general in about a year, and this is my first ever review of dice specifically, so if you're interested in more content like this, let me know. So the dice I'll be reviewing today are actually from a Kickstarter I backed way back in November, and for context, this video is coming out in February of 2023. Now the company that makes these dice is called Raven and Riddle, and you can check out their website at ravenandriddle.com. So the specific Kickstarter by them that I backed is called Forbidden Snacks Charcuterie. And it caught my eye because you can actually customize your dice set to be composed of various cheeses, meats, and such to create your own little antipasta of dice, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, before I jump into prices and the dice themselves, I like to talk a little bit about the process of the Kickstarter and how smooth or not so smooth it was. Now, there was one little bump in the road that I had, and I've got to say that I think Raven and Riddle more than made up for it in the end, but we'll get to that in a minute. If you would like to skip that and just see the dice themselves, you can skip to the timestamp that's going to be on screen right now. So, for those of you who have not used Kickstarter before, I'll give you a little background while I show you the specific Kickstarter, what they had to offer. Now, with Kickstarter, you back a project that has yet to come into fruition. You throw your support behind it financially and can, and almost always do, receive some sort of a prize for your pledge of financial support. Now, most Kickstarters have a $1 or $5 tier where you don't receive a prize, but you pretty much just kind of get like a thank you for your support. Some of them will do like little stickers or something, or some like digital content, but usually it's just a thank you for your support. But pretty much every Kickstarter beyond that price, or will offer higher tiers of prices, will give you some sort of prize that usually gets better with the increase in money. Now, Kickstarter won't actually charge you the money unless and until that project is funded within the given time frame. So maybe it'll be like 2 weeks or a month or something that you have to give them money, and they won't charge you until that end point of that time frame. And if they don't reach their goal that they stated, you won't be charged at all, and it just kind of ends, which I've seen that happen to a couple Kickstarters, and it can be quite unfortunate. But this one was funded. So at that point, the person or company running the Kickstarter will use that money to begin production, and they will send you your prize. Now, with that out of the way, the pledge that I chose to back was called, and I hope I'm saying this right, Amuse-Bouche or Amuse-Bouche. I probably should have looked up how to say it, but either way, it was $65 and it included a full 8-piece dice set. And I would get to mix and match and customize that dice set, so each die within the set, I can choose exactly which design I wanted it to have. I also spent an extra $14 for an additional D20 die, an additional $35 for a D20 chunk, which is supposed to be larger, and another $20 for first wave shipping. And then there was an additional $7 for shipping in general, and the total came out to $141. Now, that first wave shipping was meant to be that the estimated delivery date was December 10th, 2022. Estimated, so plus or minus a few days, usually plus a few days, completely fine. So once the Kickstarter campaign ended on November 24th, my card was charged, and I received an email with a survey where I was able to choose which designs I wanted for each die and where I wanted them to be shipped to, my address. We were given some time to complete the survey, and all the designs were not finalized until a couple days later on the 26th of November. But either way, I got my survey in and everything looked great. So fast forward to December 3rd, a week before the anticipated delivery date for the first wave shipping, and I got an email on December 3rd. This was the bump in the road I was referring to earlier. So I'm just going to show that email on the screen and read it to you. Hi everyone. First off, thank you so much for backing this wild project. I'm working my little fingers to the bone to get these dice to you. This has been hampered by my 3D printer being a massive inconvenience. It staunchly refuses to print the D20 berry. We're in discussions currently, and I have hope that it will be resolved soon. And the fact that I've been flat on my back sick for the last 3 days. That being said, I am still working as hard as possible to get you your dice by the holidays. I am prioritizing the dice that need to be sent outside of the US, as those take a longer time and have a higher probability of being stopped somewhere along the way. That being said, if you have a specific date that you need/want your dice by, please let me know. If you can wait a little longer in exchange for some extra dice, please let me know that as well. Finally, there are a few of you who have not filled out the backing survey, and I will not be able to send your dice out if I do not get this back to me. Not only do I not know what dice you want, but I also don't have an address to send them to. If you haven't got the survey, please let me know so I can make sure you do. Thank you again, and happy holidays, Sam. So, first of all, I'd like to say that I appreciate the transparency and open communication. A+. One thing of note that I will say is that Raven and Riddle sent this email out as a group email to all the first wave backers and did not use BCC, or blind carbon copy. So I was able to see everyone's email address, and that means that they could see mine as well. This can be seen as a privacy issue, so I'm dropping that A- down to a B. With that, I actually never replied to the email, as I was fine getting my dice a little later, especially in exchange for free extra dice, but I still should have probably replied, so that is my bad. It is always worth noting that updates were being posted on the Kickstarter page about every week, except for the middle of December. I think there was a blank time from like December 3rd-ish, or first week of December, all the way until the 31st. There was nothing being posted, and all of January, there was nothing posted. But the update on December 31st did mention that there were still issues getting the D20 berry consistent, and then finally an update on February 1st that they were finally working. And since that update, updates have been consistently weekly. So let's bump that communication and process score up to a B+. Well, my dice finally arrived today, the day I'm recording this video, February 21st, which is about a week and a half after the estimated delivery date for third wave shipping. Now note that third wave shipping was $10 and I paid $20 for first wave, meaning I'm out about $10. But I'm not mad at all, and I'll tell you why. They more than made up for it by sending me an extra D8 worth $8 and an extra D12 worth $12. So even though they really owed me $10, they gave me $20 worth of products. I consider that good customer service. Plus, the email itself could have resolved the issues earlier if I would have replied. But even so, in the end, they doubled what they owed me. So I'm finishing off with a communication and process score of an A- for Raven and Riddle in this Kickstarter. Everyone makes mistakes, and so what I think is important is how you fix those mistakes. So now let's move on to the actual unboxing of this. So I received this box in the mail today. It's a little ugly because I had to rip the tape off. The presentation looked fine. There was a lot of tape, and also the flap was glued, which is still a little sticky here. And I blocked this out so you can't see where I live or their address. But I gotta say, I'm happy with the extra tape that I had to spend a lot of time ripping off, because it meant that all of my dice got here in one piece, and I didn't have to lose any dice because the box opened. So I'd rather have it like this. Now when I open it up, it actually looks quite nice on the inside. It has their logo in this nice little foil, or not their logo, their branding and their website, as well as, their social media. And then when I looked into it, there were a few things in here along with this fluff stuff here for packaging material. So I'm gonna take each of these out and show you real quick, and then we'll look at the actual dice themselves after this unboxing. So first of all, the stickers. I do believe that the lowest tier of backing was just the stickers for Raven and Riddle, their product here. So there was this sticker, the flock with their logo on it. Don't mess with the flock. There's this one, which just says Raven and Riddle and has a cool little design with, it looks like a battle axe, a sword, two ravens, unmarked D20, and in the middle there, that's a helmet. And then this die, or excuse me, this sticker of just a raven holding a die, an unmarked D20 again. So I thought these were pretty cool, and nice that, even with the lowest tier, you get stickers. I don't know if they're quite worth $5, which I think it was the lowest tier, but still, again, remember, you're not backing this for the product necessarily in that case, but really just to show your support when you're doing that low tier. So this is really just a bonus. Usually most would just be to back with $1 or $5, expecting nothing in return, just to show your support. So the fact that I believe it was the $5 backers got these, it's pretty nice. Next, I got this little note here, which appears to be handwritten and then stamped with their logo. With this feels like real wax. I believe this is real wax. And it says, "Thank you for your support and your patience." So I'm going to go ahead and open this, probably breaking the seal in the process. I'm kind of able to conserve it a little bit there. And I'll take a picture of this as I read it to upload it so you can see on the screen. It says, I got a Forbidden Snacks. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you love your dice. That's printed. And then written, it says order 205. I was the 205th person to order. And then it says what the die is, what design it is, and a check mark if it's in here. D2, cracker, check. D4, pepper jack, correct, check. D6, Colby jack, check. D8, brie, check. D10, pepperoni, check. D% prosciutto, check. D12, green olive, check. D20, pepperoni, check. D20, raspberry, check. Chunk, salami, check. Extra D8 and D12 as a thank you, it says. So that's nice. Let's see. It has their logo in the back of the same sticker that I showed you earlier, which you see because of the picture I have up. And let's take a look at the dice. And I will say, I think they look pretty good. So, oh, there's one other piece of paper in here. Let's look at this first. It says, it's this, and it says, "Scratch to see what you've won. Raven and Riddle, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for supporting this small business. I hope you love your dice and they roll well. Fair winds and safe travels, adventurer. Raven and Riddle," and then their information. And it has a little thing for me to scratch off. So let me go grab a coin real quick. I'll be right back and we'll scratch it off. All right, I grabbed the golden dollar coin and let's scratch it and see what we've got here. Oh, something with a code. Oh, it's like a coupon. 10% off your next order with code, and then it gives me a code, which I'm not going to show on camera, just because I don't know if it's a one-time use code. I doubt it with what it is, but still, not going to show it on camera. So there's that. Very cool. Okay, let's look at the actual dice, and then we'll get to a top-down camera of my rolling tray, and we'll actually roll some. So here is the bag of the set of 8, as well as all the extra. Actually, this looks like all the dice, and then the chunk is separate. So let's take a look at these. Let's start with the smallest. So let's open our little menu here. So the D2 is a cracker. You can see there's heads, there's tails. The D4 is pepper jack cheese. So kind of show you there. And again, we'll take a closer look at these in a minute. But you can kind of see all the different pepper colors, which is kind of cool. The D6 is Colby jack cheese. So there you can see that. The D8 is brie, which I really like how they did the numbers here. It's kind of like the rind on the brie cheese. Then D10 is pepperoni. Where's the D10? There's a D10. So there we can see some pepperoni. And next is the D%, which is prosciutto. Then we have the D12, which is a green olive, which there you can see it's just very green, but it even has the little red spot. So it looks very nice there. Next we have the D20, which is another pepperoni. I think that actually might be a mistake. We'll look at that in a minute, because I don't remember getting 2 pepperonis. I think one of them was supposed to be a capicola, but we'll check my receipts for that in a little bit when we look at the actual dice, which that may have been a little mistake there. Then we have the D20, which is the other D20, which is raspberry. And apparently this is why I waited, because this was so difficult for them to make. But in the end, let's see if I can change the focus to be right on there. In the end, I think this actually came out pretty cool, and we'll see more of it when we roll them. Now, the extra 2 dice that they sent me that I didn't pay for, that ended up being, $20 worth value when they really only owed me 10, was another D8 here, which is a cheese, and another D12, which is a meat. And now I want to talk about why I appreciate, and I think this is prosciutto, why I appreciate that so much. When I gave the directions of what I wanted, I said that I wanted my D8, my D12, or excuse me, my D8, my D4, and my D6 to be cheeses. And I wanted the olive to be a D12. Everything else could be meat. Oh, and a berry for a D20. So what they did was when they sent me the extra dice, the D12 was a meat, kind of like what I asked for originally. And the D8 was a cheese, just like I asked for originally. So they even kept that in mind when it came to the extra dice that they gave me. So I really do appreciate that. I think that's kind of going above and beyond there. Now, let's take a look at this chunk here. This is quite a chunk. This is the D20 chunk, and this is, what was this? Pepperoni. Yeah, I see that. So here is the pepperoni D20 chunk. Now, my DM, Luke, he has a D20 chunk, and it is hefty. Here's a regular D20. His D20 chunk is probably about this big. Not this big. This is huge. But cool. I see why it was $35 now. I paid the $35 because I thought, oh, cool, I'm supporting the company. I wasn't expecting $35 worth of die. So that's definitely good. That's really cool. Now, I guess we'll talk about this more when we get to reviewing the dice, which I have all over here when we get to rolling them on the table. There is one little tiny disappointment I have with it, and it's not really anything worth complaining about. I guess it's something I always complain about. I looked at their website, and you can choose whether you want it to be the number 20 or their logo on their D20s, which I actually do appreciate a lot. And you can see that on here too, which again, you'll see a little closer up later. But I don't like when companies put their logo as the 20. I always prefer to have the number 20, but I do understand the branding thing. Like the polo shirt I'm wearing now, you can't see a logo on it. I do that on purpose. I don't like clothing with the company's logo on it. That's why I buy most of my clothes from little places like Sam's Club or Walmart, because it's not big name brand. Sometimes, sales at Dillard's, but I always avoid the logo on the clothing because I just don't like that. That's not my style. But I understand why it happens, and I understand why they put their logo on the D20s. I do wish that in this project there was an option to get it without, and maybe I could have reached out and asked, so maybe that is on me. But I do appreciate that on their website, if you go there and look, most of their dice have the option where you can choose the face of the D20, whether it be the logo or, I think it's called Raven, because that's a Raven, whether it be the Raven or the number 20. So that is one thing that I do appreciate for the website, but I wish was an option for the Kickstarter. And again, maybe it was and I just didn't see it, or I didn't think to ask. But anyway, that's all of that. I'm going to check real quick and see if I actually did order a Capicolo that I did not get, and got a pepperoni instead. I think that's the case. It's not a huge deal, although Capicolo is my favorite meat when I make an antipasto. But it is what it is. And either way, I'm very happy with what I see so far. Let's get to actually rolling the dice and see how they look there and get a closer look at all the dice. All right, so here you can see the full rolling tray of dice, and we're going to go in and kind of look at them up close now. So you can kind of get an up close view of all the dice, and then we'll look at each individual die in just a moment. So you can kind of see what they all look like together. They fill up the rolling tray nicely to have all of these, especially all that free extra dice that were included. But we're going to start actually by looking at the D2. Now, the D2 is interesting because some people think it's worthless because you can literally get one for 1 cent, a penny. But it's kind of nice to have it match the set. And it's really hard to jack this die. Now, I will say I was recording with my right hand and rolling, or in this case, flipping with my left when I'm right-handed. So that's why some of these rolls and flips look a little weird. Now, the pepper jack die, I actually really like. I just got this one just because I thought it might be interesting, but This actually looks better than the picture, and the picture was a little more yellow. Here it's a little more whitish yellow, which I think actually looks like the cheese. This is my favorite or my second favorite die. Now this Colby Jack D6, typical D6 is kind of nice. I noticed that the 6 was a darker color. I don't know if that's because it was the highest number or just because it had a light background and so white wouldn't look great. Now the Brie D8 here, similarly, the lowest number is dark, the 1, but I think it's because white paint for text on a white background does not look the greatest. So I completely understand why they did that there. But yeah, this one's a nice looking die as well. Moving on to the free die here, the Colby Jack D8, it looks just as good. And in this case, the 8 is darker. And again, I don't know if it's because the background was lighter or because it was the high number or what, but it just happened to be the case. The background doesn't look too dark there. Anyway, onto the Pepperoni D10. And on this one, the numbers are a little hard to see, but I understand why they went with that dark red. I don't know how it would look with white text or even black text, but I think this looks fine. You just got to look a little closely to see the numbers. Onto the Prosciutto D% die. And this one you can see looks pretty good. I actually really like this design. And the numbers are easy to read. And then the 00, it is a little bit darker of a color. Again, I think because of the background being white on that face, it makes sense. Now, this is probably my favorite, if not the Pepper Jack. I really like the way that this design looks. I think the numbers look great as well. Being dark green blends in really well, but also it's pretty easy to read, as you can see as I roll it here. This might be my favorite die of the set. Onto the free D12, the Prosciutto. Again, you can see a different color for the 12 because this one's pretty obvious. The white would just not show up well on that face. But this die looks nice, it rolls well, and I like this one as well. And onto the Berry D20. Upon closer inspection, this one's not my favorite. I understand why it was so difficult to make, and I think it was really great that Sam tried to make this. It was pretty ambitious, and it was a cool experiment. I don't know if in the future, if they were selling them again, if I would buy the berries. And I understand, it's just a tough thing to make, finishing on that natural one there. Onto the Pepperoni D20. This one I think is quite nice. Again, just like the, the D10 Pepperoni, a little harder to read the numbers. You have to look a little closer, again, in that one there. But again, I don't know what color would have looked better, so I think it's fine. Onto the salami chunk. I really, really like the design of this one. The design of the actual salami. It looks like someone cut a D20 out of salami, and I think the numbers look perfect. This is a really good looking die. But I really do like the way this one looks. It looks really good when it comes to the design aspect. But I will say, looking at it a little bit closer, the paint is a little rough on this one on some of the numbers, especially numbers like 7 and 17. But what I'm about to show you here was something that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. And maybe I'm crazy, so call me out in the comments if I'm crazy and I'm just seeing things. But it looks like that hard line edge between the 1 and the 13 is not so hard line and is a little softer. If you look at the other edges, like between the 1 and the 19, or even here between the 19 and the 9, it looks a little sharper, where that almost looks curved between the 1 and the 13, which concerns me because when you're on the 1, it's a 20. When you're on the 13, it's an 8. And that's a big difference. If you roll it, you land on top of the 1, so really it's showing 20, and it rolls to show 8. That can be the difference between living and dying in D&D. So yeah, that concerned me just a little bit there. So that was a deep look at the dice themselves. It's now a bit later and a bit darker. Let's talk about the designs, the fulfillment, and briefly review the communication and process before wrapping up. So like I said, I really do like the designs of these dice. They look great, and Raven and Riddle did a good job of making the dice that look like food. So let's start with an A+. Now, as I said before, it's a little tough to read the pepperoni dice, and I understand the color choice on these, but I personally would have gone with like a black, a white, or even a pink to match some of the pink in there. That's a little bit lighter in the tones there, but that's minor. So let's go down to an A from the A+. The last thing about the design is the berry here, and the berry really did feel like an experiment. And although I don't think it came out the best. I do think Kickstarter is the best place for experiments like this. And maybe someone out there actually really did like this design, and it's maybe just not quite for me, but it might be for other people. So let's finish with an A- for design. And honestly, I think that's a great score to finish on. And as I said earlier, the pepper jack and the green olive are amazingly beautiful. And I really do like these designs here. And the salami design itself is perfect. So A- for design, I think that's great. Now, on the note of the salami, let's talk about this D20 chunk. And I think it deserves a category of its own in scoring for two reasons. One, it's kind of its own separate product. And two, I do think that it would have brought the design score down a little bit if I included it in the regular design score, which I know I just kind of did by saying the salami looks great in my design section, but I want to go a little more depth on this. At first glance, this is the best die of the whole bunch. It's big, it's stunning, and it looks like a real salami, which is the real goal here, and I think that's great. And I think if I would have gotten the salami on my other dice, I would have a lot nicer things to say about it. Because this is great looking. I think the way that this salami die looks is fantastic. But upon closer inspection, I do get a little disappointed with some of the areas. The paint job on a few of the numbers does look just a little bit sloppy, especially, let me see if I can show this on the camera here. The 1 actually looks okay on camera, but maybe the 17, you can kind of see a little bit. Can I get the focus? I should have done it on the camera earlier. And the 7, where's the 7? I'm almost there. There we go. The 7, they don't look the best. Maybe I'll throw in some pictures there instead of just holding it up to the camera. And the 11 a little bit too. Again, I'll probably put in a picture. But the paint job there is just a tiny bit sloppy, which it's not the biggest deal. But so I can be forgiving on the painting there. What I can't really be so forgiving on is the shaping. And this is what bothers me the most because it can change how it rolls, which is really important. I want a chunk die for the special times and the special rolls, like death saving throws. Actually, this last session of me playing D&D, my character almost died. I had 2 passes and 2 fails on my death saving throws, and I was really nervous and excited for that last roll, and I think I even took like 10-15 minutes of like, am I even going to roll? And I ended up passing, thankfully. But this is the type of die I want to use for those big exciting moments where I can roll a chunk out on the middle of the table and everyone can see it and we can all cry or cry out, in pain or in excitement. But I don't know if I would trust this die for that. And that's kind of a sad thing to say and a little scary thing to say, but I just don't think I would trust it because, like I said, this between the 1 and the 13, maybe I'm crazy, but and you saw in the video earlier, it really does look like it's slightly curved. And when I look at this, let me see if we can hold up to the camera. When I see this, it looks like the 13 is slightly larger than the 1 on the faces. The 13 face is a little bit bigger than the 1 face. And again, that means that you could land on a nat 20 and it can just roll over onto an 8. And with death saves, that's going from a critical success, that means 2 successes, to a failure. And I don't know if I'd be willing to risk that. So I'm just afraid that this D20 chunk that looks a little misshapen even now as I hold it, that it's just going to sit on the shelf and look cool. And it does look cool if it's sitting on a shelf, but I don't know if a little thing that sits on my shelf looking cool is worth $35. And again, maybe I'm crazy and I'm seeing a curve that's not there. But to me, like I said, that 13 face looks a little bigger than that 1 face and it looks like a curve rather than a straight edge. So if I'm wrong and I'm crazy, please call me out in the comments. I want to be wrong. But I have to give the chunk as a rating a C- because of that. And it pains me to say because it looks so good. I'm just worried about that. And that's the lowest score that I'm giving in this whole video. And I feel bad about it. But I don't know. It just bothers me. So let's move on to fulfillment. And I'm willing to forgive a bit here because this is Kickstarter. and a lot of chaos comes with that, which adds to the chaos already there of just having so many dice options that they have to go through. And like they said, it's one person doing this. But I'm going to put some images up on your screen, and you'll see that I never got my cranberry cheddar that I asked for, and I never got the capicola that I asked for. And it seems that instead I got the Colby Jack cheese, which I didn't ask for, but it's cool. Although I wanted cranberry cheddar, and I got an extra pepperoni instead of the capicola. Now they gave me the extra free dice, and I was kind of hoping, if they gave me a Colby Jack, that'd be the free die, and I'd get the cranberry cheddar and the die that I asked for. But I guess it is what it is. And like I said, because I'm willing to be forgiving, I'm going to give a straight B to the fulfillment category. And kind of wish that they had checked up there a little bit more to make sure. And I understand, like I said, the chaos of a Kickstarter, as well as the chaos of so many different types of dice, it's bound to happen where there's little mistakes like that. And the dice I got look good. We just talked about that with everything. It's just I wish that I got those 2 dice that I asked for there. So a straight B in the fulfillment category. So in the end, that's an A- for communication and process. I think that's a good score. An A- for design. Again, I think that's a good score. A C- for the chunk, which I don't think is a good score. And again, please call me out if I'm wrong on that, but I don't see a straight edge there. I see a curve, and I see a 13 face that's bigger than a 1 face, and that just concerns me. So I don't think that's a good score for the chunk, and I'm a little disappointed in that. But then a B on fulfillment, which I think is a fine score. So being a single die, I don't think it's fair to weight the score of the chunk so heavily as equals everything else. So I'm going to go with a different weighted system that you'll see on screen right now. And I'm going to translate those scores into their GPA numbers, which you'll see on screen now as well. Go through the weighted system, and it comes out as a 3.29, which is a B. Most places will call a 3.3 a B+. So this is almost a B+ for this whole project here. But if we ignore the chunk, take it out completely, and I redo the score, it comes out as a 3.5, which is a solid B+. Most places call it 3.7 and A-. So I'm overall satisfied with this. Like I said, I'm a little bit disappointed in the chunk, but overall I'm satisfied with my purchase here. And so as we reach the end, I think we can answer that question now. I can answer it. Would I recommend the Forbidden Snack Charcuterie dice set by Raven and Riddle? My answer is yes, but. So yes, but skip the chunk and maybe stray from the berries, although maybe you like them. So, but I would definitely say yes, but skip the chunk. Now, I may reach out to Raven and Riddle about the chunk, or maybe just send them this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. But if I do hear back, if I do reach out and I do hear back, I will provide an update video. The last thing I want to do is call out an issue and then leave it at that. If I do reach out and if they do say something and try and fix it, then I definitely want to give them that credit, and I will redo the score and everything. Because like I said, I'm just a little disappointed in this chunk, and I want to like it because it looks so good. It looks like I take a bite out of it. It looks like someone took a stick of salami and carved this out of it, and I want to eat it. It looks fantastic. But yeah, so overall, great dice. I really, really do like the designs of these, and just a couple little gripes. But anyway, thanks for watching the review video. Should I do more videos like this is my next question. Maybe not just reviewing the dice, but other things in general. This is, like I said, my second review video and my first review video for dice. But I ordered these a while ago, like I said at the beginning of the video, and I just really wanted to do something about it and show it off, and I think it's cool. So let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the social medias at Aquafan, and I'll see y'all next time.